What's up, everybody? I'm Jonathan Sewell Sales at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise. And in today's Mazda News Update, we're talking about the new 22 Mazda CX all-wheel drive strategy. That's right, the all CX all-wheel drive as we are moving forward for the 2022. And so we're going to cover a little bit of a reminder of why the iActive all-wheel drive is different and better. And we're going to follow that up with why Mazda going all-wheel drive is actually better for the brand. So, stay tuned. Getting started with this all CX all-wheel drive, let's just step back and remind ourselves why the iActive all-wheel drive is different and better. So we know that when you're talking about front wheels and rear wheels, most other systems have some type of slippage that then sends the torque back to the rear wheels to regain traction or to help the vehicle go where it wants to go. However, Mazda's intelligent active all-wheel drive actually predicts slippage up front and automatically sends the traction or torque to the rear wheels before slippage occurs. So this is a great experience for all drivers, because before they need extra traction, they already have it. Now, one way that Mazda makes sure that this happens is by keeping 2% of the torque on standby to go to the rear wheels. So how does it intelligently predict the loss of traction, you may be thinking? Mazda actually has 27 different factors that it monitors 200 times a second. 200 times a second does it monitor these 27 factors or systems. For example, these are exterior temperature, could be the speed sensors in the wheels, could be whether or not your wipers are on or off, because if the wipers are on, that means that it's either raining, sleeting, snowing, something along those lines. So 27 different systems. Also maybe wheel angle, also body weight distribution, and these systems are always monitored electronically through the CPU, and then it says, oh, we've got something coming up, let's send that torque back here. What Mazda has tuned this all-wheel drive over time is to give the absolute best driving experience to anybody behind the wheel, and they've decided to move that forward to all crossovers, all CX models. I know that what you're thinking is really two things that most of us are thinking with an all-wheel drive strategy. The first question is, isn't that more money? Isn't an all-wheel drive vehicle a higher price than a front-wheel drive? Yes, it is. However, Mazda has said that they're going to front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, limit that price walk or that distance in price or difference in price by offering more features, more equipment, and maybe some new packaging that would see more value, because the 22 CX-5, for example, is going to be the base starting 22 CX-5 is going to be more money than the 21, which means that it's probably going to be more money than its competitors. So Mazda is bringing more to the table to justify that price difference. The second question that most of us probably asked or are thinking right now is, won't that be more fuel, less fuel economy with an all-wheel drive? Again, the answer is yes. However, you'll probably remember that way back when the CX-5 was coming to be, this iActive all-wheel drive was born to be more fuel efficient. How they did that was by using lightweight materials, a smaller overall package of this all-wheel drive as well, smaller rear differential, and all these materials were higher strength steel. So everything was designed to be it came out about 46% lower weight than the previous all-wheel drive system used in the CX-7. Also, in this smaller package, it was actually more efficient than, it was actually about 90% more efficient than what was used in the previous CX-7 all-wheel drive system. How they accomplished this, by doing a lot of it electronically. So you do have that smaller rear differential also, but the electronic control module would predict the need for torque to the rear wheels, and then it was an electromagnetic coupler. So as soon as it got power, it would connect and send that torque. So everything in the whole drive line just worked more efficiently to get better response, and in that rear differential, that smaller differential was less friction, and it used a different viscosity of oil in that differential, so everything would be a little bit more free-flowing and wouldn't require as much energy. So Mazda touts this iActive all-wheel drive, or an iActive all-wheel drive vehicle, as about the same fuel economy as a front-wheel drive. However, you can see on the Monroney labels, the window stickers, that most of our vehicles, our CX vehicles, are 1 mile per gallon different in city and highway with that all-wheel drive system. And in the big picture, inevitably, Mazda is not so worried about that 1 mile per gallon when it comes to CAFE restrictions and other things like that. So those two questions are, for the most part, answered or combated from what our default answers are. The breaking down, again, their all-wheel drive strategy, it's been a couple of days since the official release. We've been talking all weekend about the information from the forthcoming 22 CX-5. Yesterday, Tuesday, was actually the official release. So far, what I can see across the two markets that I've looked at, the UK and Australia, so far America seems to be, and I'm not sure about Canada yet or Mexico, but it could be all of Mazda North American operations are the only ones that are getting all-wheel drives. Not 100% on that yet, but I do know that all-wheel drive is still optional in Australia, and the UK, I have not seen where they've talked about standard all-wheel drive. There is a article that came out over the weekend that said that the 2.5 liter was going away in Japan, and they would just have the 2 liter, and the 2 liter would be all-wheel drive, which was not the case before. So they may be shifting to an all-wheel drive strategy. I'm not 100%. But we know that that's the way it is here in America. And so Mazda has several points of why this would be better for the brand. The first one is that it's better driving performance on all surfaces. So all-wheel drive does monitor where torque is needed, front, rear, whatever the situation may be. Dry surfaces, wet surfaces, slick surfaces, sandy, muddy, all of these different surfaces in an all-wheel drive vehicle, you can have better performance and confidence as a driver that you will get through, get around, and have the best experience. So that's one benefit that Mazda is sharing on this all-wheel drive. Also, it's optimal torque for all surfaces. So as you're driving, it's going to make sure that it's sending the torque, the front or the rear, whatever's necessary for that specific environment at that time. Also, this is an opportunity for Mazda to distinguish itself from other brands by delivering unparalleled pleasure for all owners. So not just, I guess they're thinking that maybe the front-wheel drive owners didn't have as much fun. Not the case. but all owners now will have the experience, and this is a quote from them, unparalleled pleasure from driving an all-wheel drive. So comment down below if you've experienced unparalleled pleasure from your all-wheel drive. Albeit it does have better performance and that confidence, because you know whether it's raining, whether it's muddy, sandy, whatever the case is, you're good to go. However, I don't know about unparalleled pleasure. Also, as a brand, with their crossovers, their most highest selling models and their crossovers, this moves them more premium. As I mentioned before, this all-wheel drive price point is going up, but there's going to be extra features and extra packages or new packages that weren't previously available. And this is going to emphasize their driving dynamics and make their performance engines more available. So in the past, the only way, with exception of the 21 Carbon Edition Turbo, which we probably won't see in 22, the premium models, your Grand Touring Reserve and your Signature, previously on the CX-5, and then on the CX-30 with your Turbo Premium and Turbo Premium Plus, the only way that you could get a turbo is with all-wheel drive, with exception of the CX-9 because it's standard with that 2.5 turbo. So with more all-wheel drives, or in this case 100% all-wheel drives being produced, you're able to get more of those performance engines or those turbo engines through the production line instead of having to pick and choose through that drivetrain. So that's an upside as well. More turbos, more zoom, definitely. Also, as we have focused in on some new information on 2022, we now know that to accompany this new all-wheel drive system, the new all-wheel drive strategy, we have a new system that's called Mazda Intelligent Drive Select, or MyDrive. So this is basically different driving modes. So we as the drivers will be more in control of what specific driving modes we are wanting that will, again, optimal torque and the best traction because we're in an all-wheel drive. Also moving forward, and again, the MyDrive may be just on the 22 CX-5 is all the information we have at this time, but I could see it in maybe the refresh of the CX-30 and absolutely the new body style in the CX-90 and CX-50 if we continue with this only all-wheel drive strategy when the new rear-wheel drive platform that we've been hyped up about comes out in the next year or so. But also the information from the 22 CX-5, we're getting a stiffer chassis and updated suspension or enhanced suspension, and this is also going to help reduce road noise specifically for rough roads or a little bit of off-road terrain. So the suspension's getting better in the dampeners, and we're reducing road noise even further than what we saw in 2020. So this is going to be very nice, especially if you're going to be an all-wheel drive or more mechanics and different things going back and forth with those electronically controlled torque transfer, all those things. That's all I've got on this all CX, all-wheel drive strategy in 2022. I'm sure there'll be more information as we move forward. The last thing that I will share with you is that as a consumer, as a shopper, they're hoping that the Mazdas will be, because this is like the only brand that has all CX, all their SUVs will be all-wheel drive, with exception of Subaru, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. However, the fact that we don't have front-wheel drives and all-wheel drives, as a consumer, Mazda hopes that when you go to shop for a car and go to your local dealership, you will have more availability of the vehicle trim that you want when there's not a chip shortage. I will refer to this as the meat and potatoes are basically all the same. It's just the other trimmings that you have to worry about choosing. And what I mean by that is if you have an all-wheel drive Touring, an all-wheel drive Grand Touring, an all-wheel drive Signature, etc., an all-wheel drive turbo model, all those things here on the lot, you don't have to worry about, hey, I'd rather have a front-wheel drive, or I'd rather they only had a front-wheel drive Touring. You would have more of what you want on the lot is what Mazda's hoping for, and one less thing to have to decide on, especially if you are on the fence on whether you get the turbo or not because of the all-wheel drive. Now that decision's basically made for you. So I think in the big picture, this is going to be a good deal moving forward for Mazda. Now, I don't know, like I said, we all want that rear-wheel drive platform. Is it going to be only all-wheel drive? I don't know. Also, we know that if things are moving more electric, the MX-30 right now does not offer an all-wheel drive. So if we see some hybrid or some electrification on this new CX-50, will it be all-wheel drive? I don't know. So more information coming as we dive into this. But do understand that they said an all CX strategy, wink wink, not an all MX and CX strategy. So you can kind of see how that naming is working out for them. I said I'd mention something about Subaru. One difference between the symmetrical all-wheel drive in the Forester that's currently used in the Forester with their CVT transmission is that the front wheels have to be straight on for the all-wheel drive or the torque to be transferred and it to be activated. So Mazda's, of course, works with the front wheels left or right or straight on. So our system is a little bit different and perhaps a little better. I'll let you be the judge of that. But I'm passionate about Mazda. I appreciate you joining me for this Mazda news update. If you have any additional questions or comments, please drop them down below or text me at 334-718-0504. I'm Jonathan Sewell Sales at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise, and I hope to see you around town or up and down the road on your new Mazda, and I'll definitely see you on the next one.